What's up, guys? Revenge here with another scripting tutorial for RSBuddy. Today's tutorial is going to be on if, then, and else statements, the basic loop structuring. We're going to start getting into actually building a script pretty soon, but really I'm just trying to go over every method that I can to show you and show you examples of the methods, so that way when we start building the script you understand what we're doing. And also I want to get into more advanced methods, because I've seen people who've already written scripts but don't know things like how to operate message listeners or filter players, things like that, where more advanced methods that I'm hoping to put on this channel and write guides for. So stay tuned for those. But for now, before we get into that, we need to go into if and what happens after you write an if statement, how you set it all up, and then the else statement, which is the basic just loop structure. And as you can imagine, if you do something, do this. Else is an exception saying that if this is not happening, do something else. It's really logical thinking, and that's really what programming is. So we're going to be making a basic loop. I'm not saying that I'm gonna start writing a script so far, but we will start a basic, I don't know, like a wood cutting. But this is more for showing you the loop than showing you methods. I'll start getting into showing you how to click on NPCs, get into the game objects, but we're gonna make separate videos for each, such as a game object is gonna take an entire video, a message listener is gonna take an entire video, and just get into depth of absolutely everything we can. I feel like with this one, it's going to be a lot with the symbols almost, or things like brackets and things that you really have to touch upon, because new scripters don't understand them. So we have a loop. We don't have the onset or on finish, but like I said, it's not really a script. This is just for the sake of showing you if, then, else. So we're gonna write a basic if statement, and I showed you this in the last script, but I didn't go in depth with it, so I figured I might as well do this before we start getting ahead of ourselves. So you're gonna write if. This is just starting out an if statement. An if statement begins with if. It's pretty simple. And you're gonna write if, and then you're gonna write these two brackets. If you're using Eclipse, you only have to click on the first one, and it makes the second one for you. A little handy tidbit. Structured a bit better. Okay, so if something is happening. So in this case, we're going to make a woodcutter. So if we're going to say inventory that is full. The reason we put those two brackets at the end is because we're calling a method, and because we're calling a method, we have to add those two brackets. And now it wants me to put something at the end. So you're going to write if parentheses inventory.isFull, two parentheses, and then close it. So this is a basic if statement. But you can't just have an if statement, you have to have something happen. So you're going to put that first bracket and hit enter on Eclipse. And that one is, the bracket's found right next to the P if you hit shift. And so this is the structure of the if statement. So if the inventory is full, what do you want to do? Well, we want to make the inventory not full, right? So we're going to drop everything. Pretty simple. It's we're going to make it so you're not going to have an action or anything. We're going to drop off. I don't feel like making ends. Inventory drop off. Oh, you have to. Okay, so drop all except. We're going to drop all except X, and then make a int for X. Okay, so as you can see, the if statement is if the inventory is full, drop everything but the X. That's pretty simple to understand. You want to make the inventory not full, so you're going to drop everything but the X. But if you look at this, these statements are ended with a semicolon at the end. But why is this with the brackets? Because if statements don't end like just statements do. Like you would end an int with a colon. With an if statement, you have to put the brackets, because in between the brackets is what's going to happen if this is occurring. So if the inventory is full, you gotta drop everything. The script needs to drop all except the axe. So in between these brackets is where you want to put what occurs if this happens. And you're going to end all statements that are not else statements with the colon. Generally. Because you have to end the statement somehow. You're going to have to end the statement somehow. And the colon, I would say, is probably one of the most used, other than the if statement, with the if statement being brackets in between each. So we've made the drop all except. This is how you write method in class. I never really went over that too well, but inventory is the class that I showed you in the Java doc, and drop all except is a method within the class. So you'd write the inventory, you put a period, and then it shows all the methods that are in this class. The reason I put this in the parentheses is because it's asking for an int here. It's looking for drop all except something. Sometimes you'll just have this, but if there's an error with it, then it's not correct. It wants an argo here, an argument. So you write axe. Okay, so then we're going to get into the else statement. So this is how you would write. You put the class first, you put a period, you put the method you want to do, and then, oops, am I moving this? That's handy. So drop all except. So it's dropping all except. Okay, so it's dropping everything but the axe. That's the bugger. Okay, so now we're gonna get to the else statement. So what happens when the inventory is not full? Well, we need to chop the tree, right? So a very else. This would be if there is no other parameters that we need to check for. You'd write this else statement and you hit enter, and then right here is where you'd put what is happening if the inventory is not full, because it would be the opposite of this. You don't have to do this, but another way, if you wanted to add another parameter, if the inventory is full, and say else if the inventory, it's always going to check for the opposite of this one, but you can add a new parameter such as if the inventory is full and inventory dot contains a nest. I'm just making this up, but so if the inventory contains a nest, then you want to chop the tree. I don't know why you do that, but just for the sake of doing this tutorial. And then you have to create a game object called tree, which we'll get into next tutorial, but this is how, and then chop. The two lines, these two slashes, mean that whatever's on that line now becomes not included in your script. So you could technically just write absolutely anything you wanted on this line, and it wouldn't be part of your script. It kind of ignores the line. So I'm going to write chop here because this is where we would chop for our script. Because if the inventory is not full, we want to chop to make it full. So that's the very basic if and then else statements. Another thing that I kind of wanted to go over was the return value here. This is how fast your loop is going to operate, and it's in milliseconds. So how fast do you want the loop to keep going over? And that's what the return value is for this if. So the return value, we're going to make 100 because we don't want it to check that often. Another thing is drop all except, and then we're going to add a sleep here because we don't want it to spam click. So how you add a sleep is just say sleep, the time that you want it to sleep for in milliseconds, 300 to 500 milliseconds, and then end it with a semicolon. And that would be just a basic sleep time, and that's just to stop spam clicking, so it doesn't like click on the logs that's dropping like a trillion times. That way it slow, not that it slowly drops, but it doesn't just keep trying to drop it even though there might be a lag, or it accounts for animations and things like that. So that would be a very basic loop. This wouldn't do anything except if the inventory is full, drop everything at this point, but it was just to show you what the loop is going to look like. A very basic loop would look like for just dropping a train. It's just a very, 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 very simple script. Generally just to show you what if and else, how you use the statements. I hope this tutorial helped you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later.